Hey everyone, it's Desiree and I am here with Spellbinders, and yes, we are still creating our Christmas cards. Yep, in July. But what a great way to get started. So this collection here has recently been released and it is simply called Be Merry. So in this collection, there's all kinds of dies and stamps, and I'm going to show you a couple projects featuring a couple stamp sets that are absolutely adorable, and then part of this die set. So this stamp set here is called Friendly Snowmen. I love snowmen. Snowmen are like right up there with feathers and butterflies for me. Yep, absolutely. But I think these images are just absolutely adorable. You have your individual ones here, and then you have a little tiny family that you can create down here. So small images that you can create backgrounds. And then the other stamp set that I'll be using for my other card is called Holiday Gnomes. Gnomes are really becoming more and more popular, and how could they not? They are. Look at those faces. Those faces are absolutely adorable. So I'll be using these three. We're going to be doing maybe some masking, maybe some fussy cutting. I'm not quite sure yet. But I do love, what I really like about this image here is the fine details in the stamp. So like this tree here, the snowflake, and this heart, and even in these two, well, all three of them actually, and the gnomes, are these fine line details to give you some shading. So when you add your colors, it's automatically going to be there. So it's really kind of cool, because again, when we take our lines, our sketchy lines, and just put them closer, that itself just provides shading. So you don't have to get into too many colors. And gonna kind of show you that with that. Love the sentiments. It even has that sketching, hatching in the sentiment, and so forth. And you have a little bit of holly here, a little bit of bells you can add to the hat tops of the gnomes. Couldn't think there for a minute. And then our die set. So our die set is really unique because it does create a shaky bottom if you want with the legs, and it has the body, and then these are actually the arms there, and then you have the hands in here that will actually, they're holding packages. And then we have our ribbons and our bow for our packages. You can add a few flowers and so forth. So we're going to combine these products together to create two projects. So let's get started. See you on the other side in the voiceover. Okay, so let's start out with our die cutting. So I've got all of these different shapes of presents. Again, this is the die called Shopping Spree. So in the die set, you get your present shapes, your bows, and they're two die cuts for the bows, and then of course your ribbon that goes around the package. So I started out with digging into my scraps for some cardstock, and this is perfect to use up those scraps. So let's dig in. And then I used my gold and silver mirror cardstock by Spellbinders to cut out my strips. Tweezers are your friends here. At least they became mine. I am using the Spellbinders reverse tweezers. I really do like that straight point, and I know if you see my previous videos, I keep saying that, but they can really get into those small areas. Once I have, and I just put one strip going across, one ribbon. Now you could do two to create that X or cross on each of your packages. And now what I'm doing is I'm just putting the bottom part of the bow. So these are the two, I guess, tassels that you can call them, coming off of it. Now what's great with the die for the bow loops could either be coming facing down or they could be popping up. So you do have some versatility when it comes to what your bow is going to look like. These would also create a great background for a card. These would be great as little tiny embellishments for your cards or tags for the holidays. So again, great ways to think of what these images can do so that we could stretch what we have in our stash. I do find that when it comes to florals and Christmas items, because we are in July, so we are celebrating Christmas in July. It's really tough for me, but kind of getting used to it. I just find that I smile whenever I'm creating a Christmas card or a holiday card, even though it's not during my time frame. And I forgot my train of thought. Oh, because that's what I do. But no, here we go. I remember it. I find that stretching either my florals or my holiday themed stamps and dies are a lot easier to stretch those images out. I don't know. What do you think? Let me know. So now we're going to work on our sentiment. So I have a piece of cardstock that's going to be the base. And I took, yes, I did take that Merry Christmas sentiment and I cut it. There was no screaming. You know, no stamps are harmed. It can easily be put back together. But I really wanted it to say Merry Gnome Christmas. Because the stamp set that I'm using, of course, is Holiday Gnomes. And I just wanted that gnome to be on an angle. I just thought it was cute. And again, just to take our sentiments as long, and I like to bend them when I go to cut them, so to make sure I don't go into the sentiment at all to nick it. Now for the sentiment going along the top, I did use my VersaFine ink so that I can put my clear embossing powder on top of it, just to give it a little bit of texture, a little bit of interest for the front of the card. And then for my three gnomes, my three merry gnomes, yes, I'm going to use my Simon Says Intense Black because it's a softer black. I know it says Intense Black, and I say this every time I use it, but I do really like that black for colored pencils because it's soft. It's not, I don't lean towards very harsh lines when it comes to any works that I do with my colored pencils. Now, to save time in the video, I did do my coloring off camera. I do keep some of it on screen here, but we are making 2 cards, so I didn't want the video to go too long for everybody. That's why it's really sped up here. I do love the look of this stamp as well. It's got very fine lines. They're not thick. They're fine detailed lines. And there's even some, what I'll refer to as hatching, some little tiny strokes to make it, to give it some shading. So very simplistic coloring I did for this piece. 2 shades or 2 color of pencils at most for each family. And that's what our image looks like once it's completed. They are absolutely adorable. The noses are adorable. Now I will say this, the noses I actually used alcohol markers. There is only 3 types of Copic alcohol markers that I own. There's 3 for the cool markers, 3 for the warm. I have the 1, 3, and 5s of each, and then I have the set of flesh tones. I'm still working on my colored pencils when it comes to flesh tones. So it's still something that I'm working with. So Copics they are, and they took out the thinking. I don't have to think with those. It's awesome. So I'm taking the back to the card. I rambled a little bit. So I took those presents, and they're going to sit along the bottom. Just as if they're bringing the gifts in for their Merry Gnome Christmas. And I'm just going to place those around and just have the different heights, the different shapes, and just balancing that out. Now, I've got 3 gnomes, so there's my odd number there. And then even with the presents, I did I did the same thing as well, where I only I used an odd number there as well. So you're going to see 7 presents coming along that as well. So you can see, because I had to trim up that white panel, I've got a little bit of border on each side for the red, and then I put it on some charcoal gray cardstock. So let's move on to our next card. And this, I'm going to feature the friendly snowman. So we have the holiday gnomes and the friendly snowmen. And I fell in love with the one snowman holding the garland of stars. So in the set, there's many images. So great for scene building if you enjoy that. We have the father, the mother, the little kids. So it's great to build those. But I just love the one with the garland. And I thought of a snowy sky. So I grabbed all of the small snowflakes and stars and all of that, and I created a background, and I'm going to use both my silver metallic and my gold metallic embossing powder by Recollections. I am using my Simon Says clear ink pad, and wow, I still need to change that. That looks absolutely horrible. Don't look at the ink pad. If I could blur that out, I would. But it's still useful, and it's okay. Even though there is ink sitting in there, and sometimes when I stamp, you're actually seeing the image. But as long as you're not using a clear, if you're using a silver or a gold or copper or any other color besides clear, it covers up. You don't see the ink underneath it. And in a way, it kind of helps to show you where you've already stamped. It's clear ink. It's difficult to see. At least for me it is. I forget where I stamp. So I find it helps. Once that's all heat set, I'm going to come in with some tumbled glass, and I'm going to use my makeup brush here to put that down. I'm not looking for a perfect blend. I like the modded look, or the very different shades, you know, where that white just pops through. And then I'm going to come in around the side with my faded jeans, just to give it a little bit of darkness. But I didn't want a completely night sky, you know, kind of like maybe the sun's just going down. But I wanted that highlight in the center because that's where the snowman's going to sit. I grabbed some glittered cardstock from my stash, created a couple of hills, just cutting those out myself, and then propped those up using some double-sided foam squares. So now I've got some hills there. So I'm going to stamp my image again with my Simon Says Intense Black. And this is just another piece of cardstock, and I will be fussy cutting this image out as it is right there through the beauty of our video editing. And again, I did use my colored pencils to color that image. They are my medium of choice. I do really like working with colored pencils. So I'm going to stamp my sentiment. And the sentiment I chose is Warmest Wishes, which is great. You know, even though it says Warmest Wishes, it could be a birthday card. It could be a holiday card. It could be a birthday card for somebody that's in January. Again, so look beyond what that says. You can make that to be anything that you would want it to be for the occasion that you're making the card for. I stamped that with my VersaFine. I used my clear embossing ink. I've trimmed that out with my Fiskars 9-inch trimmer, and I'm going to put that right down onto the glitter. I did not use any dimension. I know, unbelievable. I'm going to put some dimension on the top of my snowman because he's going to sit in between the two hills there, and they're both propped up. And then I'll put glue on the base of him to make sure that he stays on the hillside. Here comes the blizzard. I love splatter, and I love using P.H. Martin's non-bleed white watercolor. It does not change color over the Distress Oxides because they will react with water. But this stays white, and you can see I've got a blizzard going on. I mean, I got carried away with the first flick, but that's okay. I love the blizzard look when it comes to splattered. I'm surprised I didn't add any dark blue and gold and pearl and everything else into this. I just really do love that look. If you don't want as many, don't add as many. I added some of the pearls, the metallic pearls from Spellbinders from their Card Essential line. And then I'm coming in with my Winkostella. I haven't used this in a decade, and it is the gold Winkostella. And I'm just going into the stars and the ornaments that are hanging down from that. So I hope you enjoy these two cards. I hope I gave you some ideas with anything that's in your stash, or if you are liking these two sets. And as always, everything will be linked down below in the video description if you just want to check it out. And as always, some of them are affiliate links, which means I just get a small commission at no extra cost to you. If you have any questions, please make sure you leave those down below, and I will make sure that I get back to you as soon as I can with hopefully a correct answer, or maybe a different way that you can look at what you have. If you haven't already, I'd love for you to subscribe, be part of my group here. Give me a thumbs up just to let me know that you like this video. And by all means, make sure you check out, and I've got some great changes going on there. We are just doing a revamp on that Patreon account to just make it better for you all so that you can enjoy it. Enjoy your day. Keep smiling. But remember what is most important to me every day. Always be creative. Till next time, guys. See you in the next video.